Sky Squad, we are back in the building for a little late night edition. As you guys can see, I'm still dressed in my clothes from today's event earlier, and I thought I would drop in with a little late evening tea party. Not live, okay? We will be back to our lives. I think next week I have some work to do tomorrow on a set. So lots going on, right? So anyway, we got to get into the tea about Gizelle's recent appearance on Good Day DC. All right, we're going to talk a little bit of Love and Marriage Huntsville news, and we're also going to talk Basketball Wives because Basketball Wives does have a premiere date, and we're going to talk about it. Okay. Also, listen, the news is jumping. Okay, jumping. I left the event only to find out that Trump was found guilty. Now, what will that actually mean? We will find out during the sentencing on July the 11th. Okay, so stay tuned for that because this is about to be a bumpy ride. Okay, now with that being said, it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. I'm really going to be interested to see how that plays out. I mean, will it actually mean any jail time? That's the question. And then the question that I want you to ask yourselves is if he were a black man, would there be any question about the sentencing? I doubt it. Think about that. Okay. Anyway, let's get into the news, y'all. So Gizelle made an appearance on Good Day DC. Now, if you guys are familiar with Good Day DC, I sometimes do some contributing for Good Day DC in the Lion Lunch Hour, doing a celebrity dish as a guest correspondent. Now, I'm not sure what Gizelle was on there to do because I did not see this episode. However, thanks to our good friends over at the Bravo Shade Room, we now know what one of the topics of conversation was. So let's dive into it, shall we? Now, Marissa, who is an excellent journalist, let me tell you, excellent and super sharp, was interviewing Gizelle. Now, in this interview, she pointedly asked Gizelle about the accusations of her being labeled a colorist. And Marissa really she dove into it, right? So, I think sometimes when we're hearing people ask these things about Gizelle straight out, we're hoping to sort of maybe get some type of like, people call me that and I don't necessarily understand why, but I'm willing to take a look at, what behaviors they might be attributing to leading them to that conclusion and how we can, as a group, figure that out. Why has no one from any public relations standpoint said anything like this to her? Because what often happens and what she does here is more of the same. It is a routine with her. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and tell you the formula of the routine, and it should not surprise you. She says this verbatim: I think it's extremely unfortunate. I mean, am I a colorist? Absolutely not. And my life speaks to that. I'm raising brown girls. It's hurtful to them for people to say that about their mother. Okay, so I'm just going to dissect that part of it. The idea of her raising brown girls, I think, listen, the girls have nothing to do with your actions and behavior on the show, right? Now, if you want to attribute and behaviors, and then we want to take it back to what we show our kids. I mean, you're on a reality television show where the premise is usually surrounding gossip about potentially other people's kids. We do recall that. Or gossip about other people's husbands. We've seen that play out. So my thought is that excuse doesn't fly because it doesn't hold up to the rest of the behaviors that you may or may not want your kids to exhibit, right? Or at least exhibit in the name of getting a paycheck on a reality TV show, right? So that to me is null and void, right? I just have to make that clear. And I often feel like bringing up the girls because it's going to come up again later is really a ploy for sympathy. That's how it feels to me. That's how it feels. All right, allegedly. All right. That's how it feels. That's how it comes across. It's like, oh, you're going to bring up this accusation about me that's really, really harmful, really, really damaging. And I'm not one of those people that is calling her a colorist. I just think that there's a way that you can possibly self reflect and say, how might my behaviors, okay, be, how are they being received? Because it appears to the rest of the cast, or at least to the audience, because this came from the audience first, at least from my standpoint. How might it seem to the audience that I am able to do all of these things and say all of these things about people and then come away unscathed, but my other castmates, they aren't allowed that same grace or courtesy? what might how might that look, right? I think that's the part that most people, think, would probably hope that she would at some level get, but to remain stolid in that stance, I just think is, I don't have any more. I honestly, I don't have any more capacity to discuss it. To be honest with you, to really dive into it. Erica De Niro TV says right here, and I think this is the best. This is a great statement. She says, "Deny it, because if you admit it, you'll have to admit that you benefit from it." And I think that's the point that most people are trying to get her to understand, is that you benefit from this. Okay, so take away the accusation that, oh, I'm a colorist, I'm a colorist, I'm a colorist, and look at the deeper issue of colorism. I think that's what people are asking simply. Anyway, she goes on to say, but I can just live my life. I love who I am, and what I am meaning is that my skin is very thick. People say all kinds of untruths about me, and I just have to realize, you know what? I can't make everybody happy out here. But am I a colorist? No. Do I listen? Do I find any? Those are statements that I feel like any person with, on television or in the public should, you should probably have to. You should probably have that frame of mind, right? People are going to say things about you, and you really have to have thick skin, and it comes with the territory at some point. However, if it keeps being repeated over and over and over and over and over, and over, season after season after season, you've got to at some point take a look at it. But then again, she pulls the same formula and drives this point home further when not even prompted or asked about it. She says, when the accusation is made, does it hurt my children? Absolutely. Marissa had asked her nothing about her children, from what I can see in this clip right here. Okay. At least at the point where she brought them up. Okay. Because Marissa then goes on to say, well, does this situation hurt you? Because again, we're not talking about the kids. Gizelle says, no, because I know that I'm not, So basically, she's saying that she knows that she's not a colorist and it doesn't bother her. Interesting. But this is all about her kids. I don't know, y'all. Go figure. Go figure. I mean, if we want to continue on, she's asked about the season without her girl, Robin Dixon, and she throws a little shade in the direction of one of her new co-stars in Stacey Rouge, who actually used to do some work for Good Day DC. And, Gizelle has to also give us the, well, if I am filming, disclaimer, then yes, I have met and seen and interacted with the new girls, and they're great. And then she goes on to state that, we all miss Robin. Yeah. We all miss Robin. And then she goes on to state that, oh yeah. Stacey, ooh, was she fired from here? I mean, I don't know. Maybe she was. I don't know. Who knows? See, here is where it starts. And Marissa's like, what? I mean, I'll have to go back and, find that out or whatever. And then Gizelle goes on to say, but I like her though. So the shade starts early. Okay. If the shade were always just left at something like that, this show, Potomac, might still be the fun show that we once knew that it was. Can it go back to that? Who knows? But the question is really, will you guys be tuned in to find out? Okay. Now, let's talk a little bit about what is happening with Love and Marriage Huntsville. Okay, let's talk about it. Marceau has stated, according to our friends over at Urban Bell Mag, as you guys can see here from the visual, during the interview recap of, I'm assuming it was maybe this past week's episode of Love and Marriage Huntsville. Actually have not seen the episode. To well, I mean, first of all, it was a holiday weekend. I had a lot going on. Trying to be for me, it's nice having a little break from Love and Marriage Huntsville because the story and everything that's kind of going on with it right now is a little bit too intense for me. And so I just needed a bit of a break from it. But there is still news surrounding it, and it is still all it had hit. Love and Marriage Huntsville had been one of my favorite shows. I'm not even gonna lie to you guys. It had been one of my favorite shows. But that while the season may be good, I just feel like to have to talk about, certain things like week after week, it's a reminder that there is a space where I feel like lines have been crossed. And when we get to that space and I have to talk about it week after week, it becomes mentally and emotionally draining for me. Okay. And so, what are we talking about here? Well, we are talking about Martell and this DV charge for harassing communications. Okay. We all know the story. We all know what it's about. Marsau and Dustin Ross did an interview and they recap the episode. And Marsau basically tells us that he lost respect for Martell. He says, this is my unbiased opinion. Mel and I haven't had the best relationship in the past, but right is right and wrong is wrong. And to me, there's nothing. Well, I'd imagine there's something, but the lowest of lows is taking your then wife, the most intimate moment you can have, the most vulnerable and sharing moment you can have, and her trusting and giving you that tape or whatever, then you kind of weaponize that. He says, I can't think of something lower at that point right there, and you're never going to win. And even someone who thinks like that at that point right there, like I lost respect. I lost respect at that point. Now, my thing is, there are things that people do that you can understand and you can cope with, but there's a level that people decide that they want to go to that I just can't get down with that. I can't get down with that because anyone who could do who would do that in that moment, that means that that means that anything I've ever had that I could ever use against you, I'll use in your most vulnerable state if you push me to that. Marceau then goes on to state that a man has to have a line that they refuse to cross. He says, me and my brothers got into fights all the time. We don't hit in the face. You got to have a line. You got to have a line, and the line has nothing to do with them. The line is about who you are. The line is about who you are as a man. And I wholeheartedly agree with Marceau's sentiments. Um, it I just can't even believe that at this point that he's still on my television. Okay. Um, and again, I don't want to see people not get paid and not do well, but I mean, I just feel like there's got to be a point for me where we draw the line at what I want to see on my television screen. And that's just that, to be very honest with you. Um, yeah, yeah. So that is that. Now, on to something a little lighter. Let me know what you guys think about these stories down in the comment section below. All links will be placed in the description so that you guys can watch these for yourself. Lastly, we have a little bit of lighthearted news. Jackie is back, okay? And it looks like Jackie is still carrying the season and carrying the girls, all right? So, Basketball Wives will return Monday, July 1st at 8 p.m. 7 Central on VH1. So, y'all, it looks like we will not be suffering a drought of content during the summer. And I was hoping that Basketball Wives will be back sooner than later, because I understand that while a lot of y'all don't like this show, I like it. Because, I mean, for me at this point, it's at least a little lighter on the drama. And it looks like the girls are back to business with everybody aiming at Jackie. Jackie wants to have a girls' ponderosa. She's talking to Jennifer in the first part of the clip. It's a very short clip. Then they're all at a dinner. Everyone is there. Evelyn is going off on Jackie. It looks like she storms off. Jazelle then gets into it with Jackie, and Jackie's like, girl, bye, literally. And that's pretty much the clip. So, again, is it just going to be Jackie versus everybody all the time? It's got to be a little more than that, because Mama can't have to. I mean, listen, we all know that the seasons are better when Jackie is activated, but I mean, can we get to a point where it's some other people activated against each other? You know what I'm saying? I don't know. I don't know. At one point in time, I used to say, well, let's bring Sunday back, because I thought at least at that point Jackie would have somebody on her side, but looks like that ain't even the case no more. So I don't know. Y'all let me know what y'all think in the comment section down below. Is Basketball Wives if it ain't got Jackie Christie on it? Probably not. All right. Listen, y'all, make sure you guys tune in and tap into my newest book, The Wickedest Wives, Book 2, A Vicious Reality, on Amazon.com, soon to be on Audible as well. So you guys can get it there. Be sure to check all my links in the description of this video. Tap into the Bali trip. Y'all, it's about to be lit. Upcoming payments are going to be due on the 27th of June. So make sure, for those of you guys who have major deposits, make sure that you guys finish your payments by June 27th, y'all. Entering the final countdown, 120 days left before we actually get set sail on this trip. Well, not really set sail, but before we, turn up in Bali, okay? Because it's about to be lit. So make sure you guys are tuned in, tapped into all communications regarding that. For those of you guys who have already registered, it's going to be a good time. Now, with that being said, I will catch you all, of course, in the next video.